I lived at the Princeton Hotel. I lived at the Southgate Tower, right across the street from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I hung out with Albie Shore and Ray Mercer. I had Atlantic Avenue car service at my disposal, which I used to buy crack whenever I wanted. My name's Danny.
Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
I'm born and raised in Stratford, Connecticut. I'm 54 years old.
54. All right. So, how was your life? Your early years. Did you grow up in a one-parent home, two-parent home?
My dad and my mom started out together. My dad had 2 kids from a previous relationship that he knew of, 2 boys, Lorenzo and Daryl. And we lived in a nice little, I guess you'd call it a cul-de-sac. And life was great, and I remember being 4 or 5 years old and my dad getting out the car, and I got 2 brothers, 2 older brothers, so that kind of changed me a little bit. And it was great. It was probably the greatest time of my life, the 2.5 or 3 years I spent with them until my dad got the lady across the street pregnant.
How was your mother and your father's dynamic with him having other children and, him getting the lady across the street pregnant? Was there like a lot of fighting going on? What was the house like?
The saying where there's a forest fire and the swan is bringing all the animals across, and he's got everything across it, and there's nothing left but the scorpions. And he's telling the scorpions, man, come get me, please, take me across.
Yeah.
He says, no, I'm not going to take you across. He says, man, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sting you. And they get halfway across, and the scorpion stings him. He says, why did you do that? Because I'm a scorpion, and that's what I do. My dad's 6'1", hazel eyes, curly hair, about your complexion. A musician who played a Hammond B3 organ, and he also was a machinist, so he was very good with his hands.
Okay.
His character and his charisma was unmatched by any man.
Gotcha.
They said he was a magnet for any woman alive. And he's of Portuguese descent.
Okay.
And the dynamic was we all got along to save face.
Gotcha.
Everyone had their own lane. And sometimes, the ball rolls out of the lane and then things get a little hectic. My dad was a wall puncher.
Okay.
So my mother was a yeller. They both smoked cigarettes at a young age and quit as they got older. My dad died within active addiction. Johnny Walker was his nemesis. He went nowhere without Johnny Walker and Bex.
Okay, so how old was he when he passed?
My dad, I believe, was 72.
Okay. How old were you?
I was, that's about 13 years. I was about 40, 41.
Okay.
And I was incarcerated at the time at Camp Hill. And I remember going to that big phone and calling home. They give you that one call.
Yeah.
And that was the news.
What year was this?
I guess 13 years ago would be...
Around 2010.
Yeah. That's October 2010.
Okay.
My mom's still alive.
Right.
Still lives in Connecticut. My mom is the strongest woman I know. Worked for United Technologies, Sikorsky Aircraft. She was the second in command for epoxy specialist. Self-motivated, college educated. Her house has been paid off for 15 years. She still lives in a corner lot in Stratford, Connecticut. Bought herself a big Mercedes and goes on Soul Train cruises and everything you can think of. She was a putter-wayer. That little box where they say, how much money do you want to check? I've never checked that box. My mother did $20 31 years ago. Yeah. So she's pretty much set for life.
Yeah, she's in a good spot.
Yeah. And I have a 26-year-old daughter who married her high school sweetheart.
How was your relationship with her?
Right now, non-existent. She has two beautiful daughters, Amelia and Luna.
Where does she live?
Northport, Florida. I was able to put some money aside. I have a Class B CDL. I have a culinary arts degree. I sold insurance in New York in the 90s. And I pretty much any job I put myself to, I can do. I'm a fake it till you make it kind of guy. I learned the lingo and the jargon just enough for you to give me the job.
Yeah.
And in 6 months, I'm going to destroy it. I'm going to steal from you. I'm going to sleep with your daughter. I do all those things. I've lived in New York. I lived in Connecticut. And now I live in Philadelphia.
Tell me about your time in New York.
New York, I went there when the Knicks were going to trying to close it out in Game 5. I lived at the Princeton Hotel. I lived at the Southgate Tower, right across the street from Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
I hung out with Albie Shore and Ray Mercer. I had Atlantic Avenue car service at my disposal, which I used to buy crack whenever I wanted. I ate at Ruth Chris. I hung out at Jezebel's and Lola's.
How did all this come about? Because all the places, for people that don't know New York, you're naming the places that this
There's a young lady, her name is Terry Lawrence. That's my cousin. She married Darren Lawrence, who was a private investigator who stumbled upon one of the biggest drug rings coming from Ohio to Pennsylvania. He looked like a little kid. They sent him out to Ohio. And Terry latched on to a gentleman by the name of Andre Duggan. Andre Duggan and Thelma Duggan, mission in life is to make black millionaires.
Okay.
And I had the world in my palm of my hand, and everything came to life so easy for me that I never really appreciated it. I snorted coke in New York. I slept with blondes. That's all I did.
What was life like when you feel like you were at your most successful, highest point, happiest point in New York?
Oh man, my happiest point in New York is when I figured out that I could go out on the weekend and put Monday's date on all my paperwork. So when everyone started at 0, I was starting at 13 for enrollments. This is a time when that word HMO came about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was a part of that movement. Managed Healthcare Systems of New York, 50 Court Street, is the only minority owned at that time.
Okay.
Managed care plan. And that's because of Andre Duggan. And that was it, you know. Central Park. Those places like the Lolas, those little nooks that people don't know about. I knew about those things.
So explain to the viewers when you said that you found out you could go out on Saturday and put Monday's date. What exactly you mean by that?
I was the most ambitious person they had ever seen. No one ever thought of that. And I also figured out that the same thing I did for Gold's Gym is that if I set up workshops within the IS centers and out front, that I could catch more traffic. It all that like those speed bumps that they put out to count the number of cars that go by. My brain works like that.
Okay.
I'm a consultant and a drug addict, and my therapist said that I was a Teflon chameleon and I couldn't be helped.
Yeah. How did that make you feel hearing that?
Great. Are you kidding me?
Took it as a compliment.
You just patted my ego.
Yeah.
Yep.
And where do you feel like you were at your lowest point in life? And
there's so
speak
many.
on that. All right.
But there's so many. But the one that is gonna break me down. You see those two kids right there? They're the most entrepreneurial minds in this city. They steal catalytic converters. They do food stamp cards.
Those two right there?
Those two are the most talented people I've ever met in my life.
Okay.
They rent cars. They bust checks. They do scripts. At
Everything.
15 and 16 years old, their mind works like a Fortune 500, CEO or CFO.
Yeah.
They have Bill Gates' mind.
How did you come to meet them?
I came to meet them from a young lady who was sitting in Needle Park. They paid me to sit with her.
What exactly was...
They had lost her food stamp card, and they didn't want her to be without it. Although the stamps didn't connect for 10 more days, they still made every single... They're the shrewdest businessmen I've ever met, and they know how to treat people. And they paid me to sit with her, and when it was over, it was over.
So what did they want? Basically to know where she was at?
To make sure that she was there when they got the car available.
Yeah, when it touched. Okay.
They have a slew of people on their line that they could call. 90% of them white girls who were addicts. And they get those Honda Accords and they go do what they want to do. They have them rent U-Hauls so they can do demolition work, clean outs. I've never met two more talented young men in my life. They remind me of those two dancers, those pop lockers with that hair. They were on YouTube. They're so famous. But getting back to the story, New York chewed me up, spit me out. I went to North Carolina, where my Aunt Ethelene worked for the Craven County Sheriff's Department. I joined St. James Church of Christ on West 118 in Vanceboro, North Carolina. I was in the choir, and I was also on the usher board. I bought myself a beautiful black Mercedes, and I was clean and sober. I worked at Gold's Gym on Martin Luther King Boulevard in New Bern, North Carolina. I was the top salesman every single month. If I had done it for a year, I'd get a Gold's Gym Jeep for a year. In my 8th month, my streak was cracked. They called me the Shark, like Greg Norman.
What happened that it was...
I was always full of myself.
Okay.
Total narcissist. After that, I move on to the next thing. I don't think there's any problems ever. They're just solutions waiting for me to find them. I don't see anything as a problem. Even this, what I'm doing right now, I'm trying to find myself and figure out what I'm going to do. I joined the United States Marine Corps in 1988.
Did you see any combat?
I washed out because of a prior injury where all the tendons and ligaments were cut in my left hand through a fight in Puerto Ricans in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
So what happened there?
If anybody knows the 80s in Bridgeport, Connecticut, there was a t-shirt that had a sad face on it, and it had a dot in the middle of the forehead with blood dripping out. It says, "Bang, I live in Bridgeport." And I was wrapped up in that. I don't want to say the people that I was running with to hold their anonymity. But one of the highest ranking Latino organizations in the world. And I was friends with two high ranking members, and they loved my cousin, who was the greatest kid you ever met. His name was James Jarvis Camp. And he drowned at Beardsley Park. Every year a kid drowned at Beardsley Park.
How old was he?
He was on his way to Rutgers.
Wow.
He was 17, 18.
Basketball scholarship?
Football.
Football.
Just like his father, who almost broke every record in Warren Harding High School in Bridgeport, Connecticut, as a running back with one eye.
Oh, wow.
And when the scouts came to see him, the guy slapped him. And he said, "Imagine what a 250-pound linebacker is going to do to you on that side." So, no pro for him. My uncle still umps softball and little league, and he's got ace bandages and he's that guy.
Yeah.
Still with one eye.
So what brought you to Kensington, and what's life like here for you?
Man, I was always intrigued by Philadelphia. It's so different from New York. Their swagger's different.
Oh yeah.
Their swagger.
I'm originally from New York.
Okay, their swagger's way different. I'm not saying that anyone's better or worse, but I think because of the large Muslim community, there's a lot of love. I know Muslims may get a bad name, but even during my incarceration, those were the guys who took care of me, who taught me how to have etiquette in prison. And even out here, they're so focused.
Yeah, Islam is a religion of peace and love.
Right.
You know, like anything, they get a bad name. You know? And it's crazy because we don't, you know, see Christianity the same, and they got the same type of fanatics, you know. And
so here I'm working with Impact Services on 1635 East Allegheny. I'm also in the Subutex program.
Okay.
I know I've had clean time before, and I just recently started calling my mother again. And I know I'm going to stop, and I know I can stop if I don't die first, but I'm just not ready. You know, some of the things that I grew up with that were you know, my high school sweetheart, I couldn't go to the prom with her. I couldn't do it. She was full Italian. And there was no way
that was going to happen at that time.
In 1985.
What's your drug of choice?
Crack cocaine. Okay. You know, I also did an ABC special. In, I believe, 1991, they came and had us sign all these forms. I was in, I'm not sure if I was in Eden House, which was a concept program, and Dependency on Narcotics it was, or another program. There's a couple good programs back then. And I was on television, you know, and I spoke about addiction, and I got the bug. I also was an OCH manager for one of the most prominent, besides Betty Ford, and that's on 75 Swantown Hill Road, and that's up near Ledyard, Connecticut, and it's called Stoneyton Institute. And the people there taught me how to live, and they taught me how to live sober. You know, I want to say shout out to John Hucklebuck, one of the guys who sacrificed himself and died of AIDS in London, Connecticut, setting up sober houses and giving his time and his life to people who are ailing in addiction. There's so many people that I've met, and I'm not a front runner. I don't like to be up front, even though showing off is what I do best. I do it quietly.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people are afraid of me or intimidated by me. They all think I'm a cop. I look like an ex-baseball player or something. I'm 6'4", 240. You know, solid everywhere. And I smoke crack. It boggles their mind.
Yep, I know what you mean.
You know, I got the Jordans like they do.
Yep. So, do you find that a lot where sometimes they don't want to serve you?
Wherever I go. Wherever I go.
Yeah.
And it takes some time, or it'll take some guy who was upstate with me. Oh, that's Danny Lee.
Yeah, you just need a little cosign.
Yeah, he used to sew all the pockets on the pants upstate.
Yeah, I used to have that problem every once in a while because, you know, when I was in my addiction, I was still, you know, driving around in nice cars, you know, nicer cars than a lot of the drug dealers, and kept clean. And a lot of times they'd be like, yo, you don't get high. And I'd have to literally show them my arms.
Smoking in front of me, or smoking in front of me.
Yeah, I'd show them my arms. I'd be like, look, motherfucker, you know, I've done more time than you have.
That's
right. And that's right. They'd be like, all right, you know, but a lot of times they would be like, no, you can't get high, you know.
Yeah.
Is there any questions you have for me?
The question I have for you is, why are you here?
So this, when I got clean, I wanted to do just a little bit more than just being clean, you know what I mean? So I'm a barber. I came down and I do free haircuts for the addicts and people that are down here with mental health and homelessness. And then I started interviewing people and helping to tell their stories, hoping to humanize us, to show people that, you know, contrary to popular belief, all addicts, we're not the bottom of the barrel. You know, we're intelligent, we're driven, we're, you know, talented people. We just had a problem with drugs. You know, we all sin. It just happens to be our method of sinning is with drugs. Y'all might be with money, with lust,
right.
You know, with gambling, whatever it might be. But we all have issues, and there's not one that's you know, better than the other. They're all They're all sins at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So now I understand why you're here, and I'm grateful for you.
Thank you.
I'm glad that our paths crossed, and I wanted to. My mission was to plug my cell phone in when I got in, but I forgot all about that. Talking to you because my cell phone is dead. Mm-hmm. Those are the problems that as addicts you have right here in this area is using the bathroom.
Yeah.
Keeping your cell phone charged.
Yeah.
Being able to brush your teeth somewhere safe. Thank God for Prevention Point in the times that they are open and what they do.
Yeah.
But if I was involved or started following you, I would want to have, I would want to implement a center in one of these buildings where there was no questions asked. Yeah. Safety was always first, but an addict could come in and take a shower 24 hours a day.
Yeah, do what he has to do, or she has to do, and be safe.
Clean needles and condoms. Get checked for diseases or so forth. It's not a full-time place. It's not a rehab. It's not any of that.
Yeah.
It's that last.
Just serves that
it's
purpose.
That Hail Mary.
Yep.
It's that Hail. I find myself at 3 o'clock in the morning picking a woman up off the ground, carrying her over to a stoop, going to the store and buy ice and crunching it up and putting it in her mouth and around her lips.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of that, unfortunately.
And that's me. I'm a love child. I'm Virgo. I'm emotional.
When's your birthday?
September 9th. You know, and I'm just not ready to leave Kensington yet. Yeah. And this is the only street I walk.
What do they say about Virgos?
Virgos' feelings run deep. To my understanding, they're meticulous. They're sometimes overbearing. Virgos are hard to get along with, but they're great people. You can see the content of their character. They wear their emotions on their sleeve. They're the sign of love. You know?
They love hard and they hurt hard also.
And that's me. That's me.
Virgo also. My birthday September 19th. So that's why I asked you that.
God doesn't make no mistakes.
No. I believe there's no coincidences. You know, people that we run into throughout the day are for a reason.
Right.
You know.
And I'll tell you this before you start to wrap it up. I've sat in not like this, and you know, people would say, "Man, that guy's got something." But I want to tell you now, if you come take me out of here, you gotta keep me busy.
Yeah. I'm the same way though. I'm the same way where idle time and me don't go well.
Nope.
You know, I gotta stay working, family, you know, all that type of stuff.
I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. I'm a 5 to 9.
Yeah.
And if you decide to come looking for me or call me and say, Dan, it's time, I'm gonna give it my all every single day. My favorite word in the English language is relentless. That's my favorite word.
Yeah, so that's funny you say that. Me and my wife went to Colombia in February, and a lot of times when we go on trips, I'll make clothing designs. I'm artistic and talented in that form, and that was one of the logos that I put on my shirt, relentless. You know, that's yeah.
Speaking of clothing, and I'm gonna keep you as long as you let me. When I was my last incarceration, I love to sew. I love to sew. Headphones on, a cigarette, you know, pleating pants in jail. tapering pants, putting pockets on them,
Mm-hmm.
putting elastics in the drawstrings and jackets.
Mm-hmm.
I made a cardigan sweater out of an 8X sweatshirt, and so the night it was a Lacoste logo on it,
Oh, wow.
and the guy went crazy.
Yeah.
So my first jacket that I came up with was it's a Asian girl, and she's sitting on her heels with her legs crossed,
Yeah.
and you can only see the sides of her boobs, and she looks like this with the 2 sticks in her hair, and it's a clear jacket with all the colors, and the raindrops are falling, and it changes colors. It's kind of that was the first jacket that came of my creations, of my prints.
Your prototype.
Yeah, and I never followed through. I'm a great starter.
Yeah.
I never followed through.
Yeah. Likewise.
Except for in baseball.
Likewise, I could say that for myself also with certain things.
Yep.
Well, I thank you, brother. I appreciate your time. I hope that everything goes as good for you as possible, that when you decide that it's your time and be like, I want to get clean, that everything goes smoothly, and you make that transition. You know, it's never easy, but always worth it.
Yes.
You know, never easy, always worth it. You know, we can apply that to pretty much every aspect of our life that means anything.
I like that.
I thank
This
you
was
for
great.
your time. Yeah, I enjoyed this conversation.
And that's why I was last. Like you said, he ordered this.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I thank you, brother.
I thank you.
There you go.
I thank you so much.
Have a great day, and it was a pleasure meeting. What's
I
your name
will.
one more time?
Daniel Joseph Lee Jr.
Daniel Joseph.
The
All right.
one and only.
I hope I don't see you out here, but I'm out here every week, and
I'm going to
so
charge my
I'll-
phone up. You have a
I'll
business
see
phone?
you. I don't.
Okay.
If you just look Morals Over Money on YouTube, you'll find ways to get in contact with me and see the interview.
And since you got the camera rolling, my mother's name is, her phone number is 20. And I would appreciate it if you told her you laid eyes on her.
Will do. I'll go back when I download this information, this video tonight. I'll make sure that I grab that number off there, and I'll give her a call and let her know that I see her.
More than the moon.
Will do, brother.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, all right?
You too.
Be safe, okay, brother?
I will. Safety always first.
Yes, and I appreciate this conversation.
Measure twice, cut once.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Bye-bye.